So class, we were doing the chapter tissues. In the previous class, we have done till the simple permanent tissues. So let's give a brief recap, then we'll move further with the topics that we'll have to study today. So what are tissues now? In the previous chapter, we have learned about the cells. The cells were said to be as the structural and fundamental as the basic unit of life. So cell is the moiety that will ensure that if something is cellular, then it consisting of that it has life in it. Therefore, we have studied basic two types of animals or organisms divided on the basis of the number of cells. The first one was the unicellular, that were having only one cell and all the functions were done by that single cell, whether it is food taking, that is the absorption of food, and whether it is excretion and respiration, whatever the work has to be performed, it was done with the help of that single cell. The example of single cell or unicellular organisms were amoeba and paramecium. Now we studied the multicellular. The multicellular were those which have division of labor in them. So what is division of labor? The division of labor was that when basic things are performed by specific organs or specific tissue. We are talking about the tissues here, so we'll talk about the tissue level only. So when many cells combine together, they form tissues, and many of the tissues are combining together, they are forming the organ. So organ we'll discuss later, but here we'll discuss the tissues. So there are many different types of tissues, like for example the epithelial tissues. We are talking about the case of animals. So in animals there are epithelial tissues, and epithelial tissues are again of very much of different types. Then the connective tissue, that is the blood in our body. Then we have the muscular tissues as well as the nervous tissues. So the division of labor is that the system of stimuli transmission or the nerve impulse transmission is done by the nervous tissue. Then the muscle contraction and relaxation is done by the muscular tissues. So this is what division of labor is. Different function is provided to different tissues for them to perform that, not like in unicellular where all the function is done by single cell only. So there is no tissue or tissue system in case of the unicellular, because only one single cell is there. One single cell cannot make any tissue. Then the definition of tissue is when many cells that are performing similar functions and are of similar origin, they combine together, they form a single tissue. Now we'll talk about the different types of tissues. The two different types of tissues are, in case of plants, the meristematic tissues as well as the permanent tissues. So what are the meristematic tissues? The meristematic tissues were those which have the ability to divide further and further on. They were doing that in order to increase the length as well as the girth of the plant. So there were three types of meristematic tissues: the apical meristems, which are present at the apices or the tips of the stem as well as the roots. Then there was the lateral meristem that were present in the lateral part, and the intercalary meristem that was present in the nodes or in the nodes as well as internodes of the stem. This was increasing the width or the girth of the plant. So when the meristematic tissues are having lost their ability to divide any further, and now they are differentiated to perform various functions, they become the permanent tissues. So permanent tissues were again divided into two types: the simple permanent as well as the complex permanent tissues. The simple permanent tissues included parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Collenchyma were present in the soft parts of the plant, that were basically the herbs. The herbs are very much delicate plants, therefore they were majorly made up of the parenchymatous cell. Then the parenchyma was having only a single layer of cellulose, and the deposition was very much less, and they have intercellular spaces in them. Then we talked about the collenchyma. The collenchyma were those which have appreciable amount of the deposition that was of cellulose, but they were living. So the parenchyma cells and collenchyma cells were living because they were having the cellulose in them. Then we talked about the sclerenchyma. The sclerenchyma were forming the hard part. That's why they were made up of the lignin deposition, and the cells were very much thickened, as lignin is a dead material, so they were dead. Now the basic difference was between these three was the collenchyma and parenchyma are living, as they are consisting of the living protoplasm that is present in the cells, and sclerenchyma are dead as they are having deposition of lignin. Now sclerenchyma are present in the hard parts of the plant, for example the seed coat as well as the nut shell. So now we'll have to discuss about the complex tissues. Before discussing the complex tissues, we'll give a brief about the different types of protective tissues that are present. So what are the protective tissues? First, we have to do one experiment. We have to see some we have to take one microscope and observe various types of cells under that, and we'll see that when we stain, or when we'll staining means when we some dyes are there for staining purposes, when we apply that are fast green as well as saffronin. So when we apply that, the color of the uh, that whatever we seeing, that for example we are seeing a stem under a microscope, then the color will differentiate that this part is the epidermis of the outermost part, then this part is the vascular bundle. So different dyes are there for visualizing the different parts of the section that we are viewing. So we'll see that the outermost layer, that is the epidermis, is made up of a very much single layer, that is no multicellular organ is present outside, and it is a very delicate organ, and it is basically for the protection purpose. So epidermis is one of the protective tissues that is present the outermost, and it is of single layer. Then the epidermis as well as cork. So cork is also an example of the cork is present in the middle. This is the cork. The cork can be present at two positions also, that is for example this is one cork and this is the second one, as well as cork is also called as a phellem. So phellem is a word that we'll use in higher classes, but in the lower classes, like for example 9th and 10th, the cork term can be used. So what is epidermis? Now the epi means upon and derma is referring to the skin. So epidermis is usually present in the outermost layer of the cell body, and such parts of the plant which are very much delicate and have to be protected. So the leaves, flowers, stems and roots. Epidermis is one cell thick and covered with a cuticle. So the epidermis is again covered with a very much thin layer, and mostly it is sticky, so that it is called as cuticle. The cuticle is waterproof layer and it is waxy. What is the purpose of waterproof? So that not very much high amount of water is being absorbed by these, so that they will droop down due to having high accumulation of water. That's why the upper layer is waxy. Then the cuticle is waterproof and is made up of a waxy substance called cutin. So cutin is a substance that is present in the cuticle. Because of the presence of cutin, this outermost layer that is covering the epidermis is called as cuticle. Now cuticle possesses variable thickness in plants. For instance, it is more thick in xerophytes. What is the purpose of its thickening in xerophytes? So that we all know that xerophytes are those plants that are living in very much hotter conditions, like in deserts, for example cactus. So they do not have very much high amount of water. They are living in scarcity of water basically. So this cuticle layer helps them to prevent any higher amount of transpiration, so that the water can be retained inside the plant, and that will help in the growth of the plant. So the cells of the epidermis are elongated and flattened, and they do not contain any intercellular spaces. This is the layer of epidermis, and you can see the cells are very much lined together without any intercellular spaces in between them. The inner contents are similar to parenchyma cells. That is, parenchyma cells are soft. The cells of epidermis are also very soft, and the presence of cellulose is there. They are only single layered. The main function of epidermis is to protect the plant from desiccation and infection. Then in fact cuticle of epidermis helps to prevent or to reduce the extra loss of evaporation from the plant surface, and also preventing the entry of pathogen. Now if some pathogen like bacteria and fungi are trying to enter the plant, then this waxy cuticle will make it stick on the surface only, and it will die there, so that it will not be able to enter inside the plant. Then the aerial surfaces of many plants bear cutinized hair over the epidermis. So there are some, these are the hairs. The trichome is the single layer of hair. So the trichomes are basically present. They are also for the purpose of reduction in the transpiration process. The seeds of cotton contain numerous long unicellular hairs, which from within the husk of the cotton. What is the husk of the cotton now? The seeds of cotton that are very much soft, delicate parts, and so that they do not get thrown away or get carried away by the wind, they are containing some hair-like structures, and that is for their protection also. Then in roots, the younger parts are covered with uncutinized layer of epidermis called epiblemma. Now in the this is the diagram of the shoot, that is the stem, but in roots also the epiblemma is present. The function of epiblemma is also of the protection, but it is not cutinized, that is no presence of cuticle is there in the case of roots. Therefore the epidermis in this is in the case of roots is called as epiblemma. The root hairs are also present, which are the outgrowths of the epiblemma only. So these long unicellular root hairs increase the absorptive surface area of the root. So what is the function of the root hairs? It is basically to help in more and more absorption of the nutrients as well as the water from the soil. Now the another is the cork. You can see in the diagram, these are the this is one experiment that you can study. It is given in your NCERT books, and this is the main three parts that are for protection: the epidermis, the stoma, or the single cell of stomata. Stomata is also a type of protective tissue. We'll discuss stomata later on. Now we'll discuss the cork. So cork is also protective in nature. As plants grow older, the outer protective tissue, that is the epidermis, undergoes certain changes. So the epidermis, as it grows older and older, some changes are occurring in it. A strip of secondary meristem called phelogen or cork cambium replaces epidermis of stem. Now when I told you the cork is also called as phelogen. So when the epidermis is growing old and it is getting degenerated, it is replaced by a new layer of cells that is called the phelogen. It is also known as the cork cambium. So it replaces the epidermis of the stem. Cork cambium is simple tissue having only one type of cells. Here also only one type of cells are present, like that in the case of epidermis. The cells of cork cambium are rectangular and their protoplasts are vacuolated and contain tannins and chloroplasts. So the presence of chloroplasts means they are also able to perform some amount of photosynthesis. Cork cambium gives off new cells on its both sides, thus form. So the cork cambium is able to give off cells on its both sides. That is, both sides means upper also in the upper direction as well as the lower direction. That's why it forms a secondary cortex. This is the primary cortex. When the epidermis is removed by the cork cells, it is forming the single or the primary epidermis, or called as the primary cortex. Now when these cork cells, the primary cortex, are able to divide in any direction, that is both upward and the downward direction, it gradually forms the secondary cortex. The secondary cortex is called as the pheloderm and it is growing on the inside. So the layer of cells which is cut by the cork cambium on the outer side ultimately becomes single layered thick bark. So these cork cells only, these are accumulating because they are able to divide in any direction, though they get accumulated and they only forms the bark of the tree. We can see the hard part of the tree, that is the bark, that is formed by these cork cells. So the wall of these cork cells are heavily thickened with an organic substance called suberin. So the epidermis was covered by a cuticle layer and this cork is covered by suberin. So the suberin makes these cells impermeable to water and gases. The cork cells do not contain protoplasm but are filled with resin or tannins. So tannins are called as the secondary plant products. They are of utmost importance in the leather industry. So for plants these are excretory products. So whatever the excretory products are there, they are stored in these cork cells, and whenever those leather industries are requiring this material, they scrap off this from the bark. So in case of if an onion bulb too, the skin of the onion of the cell walls become thick and waterproof due to the addition of this suberin. So suberin is something that is not waxy, but it is a material that is completely impermeable to water, and that's why there will be no respiration through the stem once the cork has grown very much higher in amount. Then the function of cork is also to protect the plant. It also prevents the plants from desiccation, infection, and any mechanical injury. And cork is light and does not catches fire very easily. Due to this properties, cork is used as an insulators or shock absorbers and also for commercial purposes. In many parts of the world, it is used in having some industries like for making wooden paddles of table tennis as well as the flooring. So we were talking about the protective tissues. Stomata is also a type of protective tissues. Epidermis of the leaf is not continuous at some places due to the presence of small pores, and these small pores are called as stomata. So this is the stoma. The opening and closing of stoma is guarded by the presence of two guard cells. The guard cells consist of single nucleus and they are concave structures that are facing each other. So the main function of the stomata is for the purpose of gaseous exchange during the photosynthesis and respiration, and also in the process of transpiration. The transpiration is the loss of water from the aerial parts of the plant. Now we'll discuss the complex permanent tissues. The simple permanent we have completed all the different types of simple permanent tissues. Now we'll talk about the complex permanent tissues. The complex permanent tissues are consisting of more than one type of cells, but these more than one type of cells are having common origin. That is, they are originated from the same point, but they are not of similar structures. They are present in complex plants and help a plant to survive in the terrestrial environment. The complex tissues transport water, mineral salts, and food material to various parts of the plant. So basic complex permanent tissues are xylem. Xylem are also called as wood, as well as phloem. Phloem is called as bast. Now, xylem and phloem are both conducting tissues and also known as vascular tissues. Together, both of them constitute the vascular bundles. So now we'll talk about the nature of xylem. What xylem is? The xylem word xylem comes from the Greek word xylos, that means wood. So it is a vascular and mechanical tissue. In other words, it is a conducting tissue. Xylem is composed of cells called elements of four different types: tracheids, vessels, uh, or vessels are also called as tracheae, and then the xylem parenchyma and xylem sclerenchyma. Xylem sclerenchyma are also called as the xylem fibers. Except xylem parenchyma, all other xylem elements are dead and bound by thick lignified walls. They are dead and also do not contain any nucleus. Only xylem parenchyma is having nucleus and it is living. So the most important cells are vessels. Vessels are shorter and wider than the tracheids. Vessels are very long tube-like structures. They are formed by a row of cells placed end to end. In the diagram, you can see the vessels. These are the vessels. They are thick, as these are tracheids, and vessels are thicker than the tracheids. These are very important, and they are forming continuous pipe-like structures. So now the tracheids are elongated. These are elongated. These are not elongated. Means these are longitudinally uh, much in length than as compared to the vessels. They are having tapering ends. The tapering ends means the ends are not very much pointed. So they also conduct water. Since tracheids do not have open ends like the vessels, so the water has to pass from cell to cell through pits. The pits are present in the tracheids because they are not having opening like this in case of vessels. Therefore, they have some pits through which the water is transferred. Xylem parenchyma stores food and helps in lateral conduction. Lateral conduction means sideways conduction. So the xylem parenchyma is mainly for the sideways conduction of the water. Then the difference between tracheids and vessels. The tracheids are single celled as well as the vessels are made up of a row of cells. Now the tracheids, the end walls remains intact, and the vessels, the end walls gets dissolved and become perforated. These are the perforations you can see. The perforation means the some opening, slit like openings. The walls of tracheids are very thick with a narrow lumen. The vessels, the walls of vessels are less thick and they have a wider lumen. Lumen is the opening that is wider in case of the vessels, and you can see there are no lumens. Then we'll talk about the phloem. Phloem, like xylem, phloem also comes from a Greek word pholos, that means bark. Now they contain tubes but performs no mechanical function. Phloem is composed of the four different parts like xylem only. The four different parts are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Except for phloem fibers, phloem cells are living cells. So only in case of phloem, all the cells are living except phloem fibers. And in xylem, three were dead and only one was living. And for in the phloem, three are living and one is dead. So the basic difference between xylem and phloem is xylem is used for the conduction of water and minerals, whereas phloem helps in the conduction of organic solutes or the food materials. Then xylem, the conduction is mostly unidirectional, that is from roots to apical parts. But the in case of phloem, there is bidirectional, means from upwards to downward direction as well as from downwards to upward direction. Both ways the conduction of food occurs. Then in xylem, the conducting channels or trachea elements are tracheids and vessels, and in phloem, the conducting channels are sieve tubes. The components of xylem are different and components of phloem are different. You can see these are the components of xylem and these are the components of phloem. So in addition to the conduction, xylem provides mechanical strength also, but phloem do not provide any mechanical strength. What is the reason that xylem is providing the mechanical strength? Because it is made up of mostly dead material and very thick material. So because of that thick material presence, it is also helpful in providing a tensile strength to the plant. But the various elements of the phloem are soft, that's why they do not provide any strength. Now the animal tissues. So breathing is one of the most vital activities of humans. We all know that when we breathe, we can in fact feel the movement of our lungs and diaphragm. So how do these parts of our body move? For breathing, we have specialized cells in our body called muscle cells. The contraction and relaxation of these cells results in movement. So for movement, we need muscle tissues. For other functions, like blood is a fluid connective tissue, it flows and connects different body parts or of the body. Then it carries oxygen and food to all the cells and recollects all the excretory product. These are some various functions that are done by basic different tissues. So the epithelial, connective, muscular, and the nervous tissues. These epithelial tissues will discuss. What are epithelial tissues? The epithelial tissue is the simplest tissues. It is a protected tissue in the animal body. Like for example, the epidermis is present in the plants for the purpose of protection. Same way, epithelial tissue are in the case of animals. The cells of this tissue are tightly packed and they form a continuous sheet. Cells of epithelium contain very little or no intercellular matrix. Intercellular matrix means there is no fluid present in between the cells of epithelial tissue. Cells of epithelial contain very no or very intercellular spaces are also absent. That is, like in the plants, the epidermis having no intercellular space. Same way, there is no intercellular space present in between the cells in the case of epithelial tissue. Cells of epithelium contain very little cavities also. There are no cavities present. That's why the tissue covers most organs and cavities within the body. The main purpose of this is to form a barrier to keep different body systems separate. The different body systems, that are the nervous system, excretory system, and the cardiac system, these all are being separated by the presence of this epithelial tissue. The skin and lining of buccal cavity, the blood vessels, alveoli of the lungs, and kidney tubules are all these are things are made up of the epithelial tissue. So epithelial cells lie on the delicate non-cellular basement membrane, which contains a special form of matrix called collagen. So collagen is a type of matrix. It is basically a protein that is present in the highest amount in the humans. So these epithelial tissue are not lying over the blood directly, but these are present on the basement membrane, and these basement membrane contains a very much important and special form of matrix protein. This is the collagen. So what is the function now? Epithelial tissue may be simple, that is composed of single layer of cells, or stratified, that is made up of, stratification means one upon another. So stratified cells are those which are present in layers, single layers of cells. The function of this epithelial tissue is to cover the body surfaces and to protect it from the outer layer, whatever the harmful things are present in the outer environment. These cells are being protected by any drying or injury or any chemical effects. They also protect the body from viral or bacterial infection. The epithelium of our body, that is the skin, do not let anything to enter in our body because it is not permeable. Now, the inside the body, the epithelial cells form lining of mouth and alimentary canal and also protect these organs. The internal organs are also being lined by the epithelial tissues, and these are providing protective function in our internal organs also. Epithelial tissues helps in absorption of water and nutrients, and these tissues help in elimination of the waste products also. Like for example, you must have seen some sweat on the skin. So that is because the epithelial tissue oozes out or ejects out whatever the extra amount of salt or water is there, and it is of no use to our body. It is excreted out as a waste product from the skin dermis. Some epithelial tissues protect secretory function. For example, they secrete a variety of substances like sweat, saliva, and enzymes, etc. Now, what are the types? The various types of epithelial tissues are, these are being divided on the basis of the shape and the function of cells they perform. Now, these are the squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar, glandular, as well as the ciliated epithelium tissues. We'll discuss these in the next class.